in the night and you feel the danger that makes you wanna hide. When the cards are stacked against you and you're standing on the edge, now's the time, now's the time. Think about all the dreams you keep inside. Think about all the ones you love. I know this beating heart will be my guide. I know that we can overcome. When the world's so cold and we're losing hope, I need her, I need her. When the darkness comes and we're overrun, yeah, I need her. That's when we need each other. 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 When you're falling faster and don't know where you are, you feel the danger closer than your heart. When the weight is getting heavy and the future is unsteady, close your eyes, close your eyes. Think about all the dreams you keep inside. Think about all the ones you love. I know this beating heart will be my guide. I know that we can overcome. When the world's so cold and we're losing hope, I need her, I need her. When the darkness comes and we're overrun, yeah, I need her. That's when we need each other.
In like 1890, what happens if we were to do infinite amounts of choices, and where does that take us? And his argument is, if you do infinite amount of choices that are ultimately expanding your options, you will get infinitely more, but you can reverse it as well.
When I like the, watching Doctor Who with Poppy, and we have the whole like fixed points in time, right? That we saw with Doctor Strange, like the death of Amanda Palmer.
Can't fix it.
That is a fixed point in time.
Which, by the way, I do like what they did with Doctor Strange in What If. Like, Doctor Strange goes nuts and becomes one of the most powerful beings in the universe, and then destroys the universe.
Kind of what happens when you get to that point.
Welcome to season 3 of Shadows, when Ivar when the Watcher looking over looks at Ivar and goes, "Wait, what?"
Well, what do you mean? I see you all the time, I thought it was the booze, but no, not the booze.
So you're my hallucinations. They are real.
I'm actually working on a short story right now that kind of fits something like that. Strangely enough, I wasn't thinking about it in terms of the correlation between Watcher and whatever, but I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Look forward
So
to it.
is the Watcher one of the timekeepers?
No, he's outside of that stuff.
So he's kind of like how, they've introduced different characters that are almost like godlike. They've just been around since the beginning of time.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get that when we get the what is it? The Immortals? No, not the
Eternals?
Yeah, the Eternals.
Eternals
Coming out in a month.
We're gonna get
you have
the Celestials.
Yeah, you have the Collector, and then the guy from
Grandmaster.
The Grandmaster are brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and like Adam Warlock was hinted at several times in Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. It's tons of Warlock with the Infinity. That's how I first learned about the Infinity Stones, was Adam Warlock with the Infinity Stones. So,
well, how is
as
it?
we go the next Guardians, we'll see. I think we're doing all right.
Well, that is good. We're going to have Ken in a little bit later, probably in the next 20 or something minutes.
Check it out. Because of Nitro, I get a background if I want one.
Oh, really? You know, it's funny. Is I have Nitro too. I don't know if I could do that.
When I turned on my camera, it was like choose. It like popped up a preview, and I'm like, wait, am I in Zoom? What's going on? And I was like, choose your backdrop.
Ooh. I might have to employ that at some point.
I'm like, well, this one kind of looks like Night City. It's called Cyber City.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it definitely has the same
But-
element and theme.
The lighting is making me like ghosty.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
Yeah, it's weird how that works.
Oh, I don't want to.
Apparently, this is from Discord the movie.
That looks
Oh
like
wow, they have.
that looks like PS
Crazy
Home
stuff.
back in the day when they tried to create a like sort of virtual reality for PlayStation.
This is these little sticker people, the Wurmple, apparently, on vacation.
Huh.
This one is just called Vaporwave. It gives me anxiety a little bit.
Welcome to the 90s.
Right?
Max.
My poor desk is starting to fall apart.
I'll just pick this one. This is Kuala Lumpur. Oh, it didn't stick. This is a real picture of a city that has then been photoshopped. Yeah, so I don't like these Zoom interviews. I'll tell you what.
They're interesting.
I'm like, you haven't earned the right to be in my house. I have people I've known for 15 years who haven't been in my house, who I've worked with and care about way more than random interview person. You definitely don't get to be in my house. And then
don't
I'm
put-
like, "Oh, but my
you don't
house
put a
is nicer
background?
than your house." So
Yeah, you don't put a background up while you're
no, it gets weird because of this window here during the day.
Oh.
I wash out, and so if I have a background, I'm like Two-Face. Like this half of my face is, if it's after like 1 p.m., this half of my face is like super bright, and this half is normal.
I'm curious if someone would bring a lawsuit up of like, because of my background, you prejudged me and used my house situation to determine whether I could get the job or not.
They've
They're
used
like,
less.
You have a dog? I don't want you to work here because you'll be distracted by your dog. Actually, that's a thing. That is what did I just see? That there is a company that is saying you can work from home, but you have to work from home. You cannot be helping your child in online classes or babysitting or whatever. You have to be working. So if you know, whatever, my kids get home from school, they're doing their own thing. Who cares? But if it's like, if you're home with your 2-year-old and they're like sitting in the playpen next to you and you're not focusing on working, that's, some employers are saying that you can't do that. That
Find a new employer.
Well,
Jesus.
right.
You're getting employers left and right pushing back. Have you heard about Google's new policy for pay
Oh, that it's by zip code?
by zip code? Hey, you want to do remote working and you decided to move to Idaho? We're not paying you Silicon Valley wages. Tough shit.
Okay, do you consider Tracy to be in the Bay Area?
Yeah, it's the outskirts of it, but it's not one of the Bay Area counties.
It's not one of the Bay Area counties. So my sister is getting paid less than her direct reports
Because of where she lives?
because she lives in unincorporated Placer County, just on the outskirts of Roseville.
Bullshit.
And her direct report, her accountant, she's the accounting manager, her accountant lives in Tracy, which they did a salary sampling and they said San Francisco Bay Area, and they included that person who lives out in Tracy. And I'm like, first off, you should be doing it by county, maybe, but certainly you shouldn't include Tracy.
But this is, to me, is
Isn't
along
it-
those same lines of the Disneyland pricing scheme, where if like you go on a busy day, it's more expensive. If you go on a cheap, it's
surge pricing.
yeah, it's the same thing, and I think both of them are hideous and immoral, and ought not to be the basis of commerce.
What before they became dead to me because they laid me off, what my previous employer was doing was going to say, if you are going to work from home, we will compensate you based on where you live as an increase.
So there's a base salary, but
not
whatever your bonus
decrease
is.
anybody's wages, but if you move to a place that is less expensive, you won't see as much of an increase as if you move to a place or you stay in a place that is more expensive. Then you'll see a proportionate increase.
No,
So,
that to me
okay,
is reasonable. That's reasonable.
that solves it for existing employees. The person who's getting hired, who lives in San Francisco versus lives out in the country, you know,
It
they're
just
gonna
breeds too much
just get paid
resentment.
differential.
I
It's
mean,
always there's always a
absolutely.
loophole.
It-
Like just
Kimmy
pay
Kimmy
people what
found
they're
out
worth.
Kimmy found out that she, managing a flagship store, was making the same amount that they offered to pay an AM2. And we're going to pay that person more than
Yep.
what she's making, and she's running a flagship store. So one, they're underpaying her, which is one of the reasons why she's leaving. But
But
it
this
just
is where,
like-
I love teaching. When I became a teacher, they gave me a piece of paper that said, here's how much you will make every year for your entire career. And if you get this much education,
Per
these are where your
district
pay
and all
raises.
that, yeah.
Yeah, each district's different.
Yeah, I
Um,
could look up what you're getting paid, right? Like,
Yeah, it's
because
perfectly
you're
public knowledge.
public employee, all that. I
Like,
know that's the thing that's so weird. We pay competitively. If you pay competitively, why don't you list what the payment is?
Yeah.
Yeah. But right now, teaching is actually being forced down to the bottom. Like I was looking at some new jobs because I want out of my district, and with my experience, I go anywhere else, I'm taking a $30,000 to $40,000 pay cut, and not
Yeah,
happening.
your district pays well.
Not as well as Heather's. Castro Valley, like I go to Castro Valley, I'd make $20,000 more.
Kim's district here pays more than in Petaluma,
Hmm.
but when she moved here, she lost years. So she's
Yeah.
now making more than she made in Petaluma because she had, I think, 14 years in Petaluma and a master's and
Yeah.
additional whatever. And then when she moved here, it only 10 years transferred.
Yeah, that's actually one of the
But-
ways they keep teachers in districts is they won't let us transfer our years.
Yeah,
And
so,
so there
only
there
10
comes
years
a
transferred, but
Yeah, there comes a crossover point where economically it's not viable for a teacher to leave a district.
that's how they get you.
None of that shit makes any
Mhm.
sense to me. Just pay people what they're worth. Fuck the rest. It's that simple. I don't know why I do. Actually, I do know why. There's no reason to even think about
Unions.
it. We need something.
I wish they made the salary schedules the exact same for teaching, no matter where you were in the state, had a base level, and then hey, you live in San Francisco, we'll up it this much, or
But there's also we deal with this in healthcare. We need to drive people to rural areas because you have doctors who grow up in Tracy.
Yeah.
Go to UC Davis, UCLA, Stanford, whatever, get licensed, do their intern residency, everything like that, and then they stay in San Francisco.
Mhm.
And then
But we're
there's no
we're finding that
healthcare
in
provider
everything.
in Tracy. Right, but what I mean is, so then they offer incentive, come to this rural area, come to an underserved area, and we'll pay off your student loans.
Yeah.
Right, there's programs for that, so they don't.
But I
They
mean-
can't pay them more, but they can wipe out their student loans, which is nice.
We have an underlying problem, a systemic problem that I've heard of it in the medical field. We have it in education. For some reason, the legal profession doesn't. I don't hear this in the legal profession, but you can't get people to do the job. Like, I know districts, they have the money to give people good wages. Nobody's applying. They can't get anyone to do the job.
Yeah, Elk Grove's paying subs $250 a day right now.
My district is paying you different amounts depending on what school has the most need.
Well, yeah.
And so you have people that don't sub at my school, so the teachers have to go in and sub.
Yep. Yeah, Kim got a sub for a half day today. She went to Apple Hill, went drinking with her friends.
Good for her. On a Thursday?
One of her friends has a cabin up here, and so they have all of this week and next week off at her old school at the fall break, and so they were all going up to the cabin, and so she's not allowed to get a sub on Friday or Monday, and so
No.
So she was like, well, let me see if I can get a sub for the afternoon on Thursday, because Thursday is her PE, music, etc. day. So she just basically used her prep period to go to Apple Hill and
Nice.
do some cider flights. And she brought me home one. She's like, this one's for you. It's called Thunder and Lightning. It's got like ancho in it or something. And I'm like,
Nice.
okay.
What grade is she teaching now?
Second.
Oh, okay. And this is what, her 19th year?
I think 17. When did she
No,
start teaching?
No, it's got to be
2000.
longer because I'm
Ew,
16
no.
years. I'm 16
Yeah.
years in.
Well, but it's only 2019 right now.
Sure.
Yeah. So she started teaching in 2003, so 18th year.
Wow.
I don't like saying that out loud.
12 more years, man. 12 more years, and then she's freed.
I know.
Always good to start off a session with the real world dystopian features that we have to deal with in reality.
Right? You know what I never did after last session was spend that sweet IP. I never thought of a good thing for it.
Really? Getting kind of stuck then. You might want to think about using that for like your nano gun as like
Well,
a possible
say.
cybernetic feature.
Yeah.
Because the nanite weaponry that you're talking about, that's something that could easily exist, like uber prototype, because that's pushing the tech level of this current situation pretty high up there.
Totally. Well, and I will fully admit that it is mostly for convenience sake.
Well, yeah, that's even in the show it would be for that. It's like you got a situation where you can just do it. The only inconvenience would be the waiting for it to either upgrade or downgrade to the weapon necessary.
Absolutely. Well, and then you have is it universal ammo? Because man, Deus Ex Invisible War, I hated universal ammo. That idea that his, taser and his shotgun and his pistol and his crossbow and his sniper rifle are all using the same universal ammo.
Yeah, if it's something
Nano
ballistic,
ammo.
if it's something ballistic, you can easily go from side to side. You know what I mean?
Did you say
But
nano?
Namo.
Nano ammo.
Nano ammo? That just means it's very small.
In other words, you're just firing
Or it's used
radiation.
by Elmo.
Elmo nano ammo.
There's a tongue twister.
This Elmo
Nice.
gun.
The caps in people's asses. I
My-
use Dynamo.
Current favorite tongue twister is the purple burglar alarm.
Oh, I actually know somebody in Scotland who had
Scottish-
them try it.
The
And
Scottish purple burglar alarm.
yeah, purple burglar alarm. Yeah, and it's purple burglar.
You watch that
Yeah,
blue screen of death in their eyes.
yeah. Like I said, I actually talked to somebody now who's in Scotland, and he was able to say it fairly okay, but he started saying it over and over, and then it started to scramble.
Yeah. Well, it's when I was taking linguistics at University of Cape Town, my phonology teacher was Scottish. And he was very happy to have me in his class because he said, finally, someone who says his R's correctly. Because unlike British English, South African English, all that have that, sound instead of an R sound. It's a Rotek R. And he was like, basically had me like stand up in class and like say words so that people could hear the difference. And it was not embarrassing at all. It's like, with a bottle of water.
Yeah. I don't
Like,
know.
you, American, you're saying it right. Come here.
Bottle of water.
The battle of
Now you
water.
just sound like a skeevy white dude. That's not even.
Southie.
Bottle of water.
So,
Battle.
you're American. Come speak to us. Say water. Water. No. Say it like Americans. Water.
Water. When someone was like, that accent, is that Chicago? And I was like, no. Not at all.
That's Pacific Northwest, as flat as you can get.
Yeah, it's
well,
the
that
generic.
accent YouTube video that I shared of all the American accents, because the West, like basically west of the Rockies, has been the least populated, or populated for the least amount of time by English speakers. It is the most similar accent. It hasn't had time to really diverge, with the exception of the Bill and Ted accent and the Bay Area Spanish sibilant S's. But the Bill and Ted, like SoCal accent, is one of the first emerging unique accents in the West.
You mean Valley Girl?
Not Valley Girl, but the like, whoa, dude, you want to go to surf at the beach? Like
yeah,
that.
surfer bro.
Yeah,
That
Surfer
breathy,
Bro.
that breathy language.
The brawl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
great.
the argument is ultimately, you give America long enough, we will start to develop our own separate languages.
Well, the most rapidly changing English in the world right now is in the Great Lakes region. They're doing a vowel rotation. So the vowel sounds are all pivoting around each other. So instead of saying a bag, they're saying bag, and now it's becoming a bag.
Oh yeah,
So, like,
Dude.
it's all
Dude,
the like
we-
A-E-I-O-U are just like.
we went to the UP a few years ago to go visit my family, and my dad was like, "Watch out for the Yoopers." I'm like, what the fuck is a Yooper? The Yoopers, Upper Peninsula, like, these people, they talk a little different than everyone else. And when they talk, this is how they talk.
So
Basically.
they're
And it's
South
tree
Canada.
ants.
Can you take a Xanax?
Yeah.
But yeah, you totally hear that when they're talking, that valve change, and you're like, what did you say?
Oh, that must have been where Carol worked. So there was this
Hey, there he
woman
is.
who worked at another men's warehouse in Bend. Carol. And when she would get you on the phone, you'd want to kill yourself. Because she was so depressed in her language. It's like, yeah. And you're just like, oh God. Yes, I'll get you the tux. Just stop.
Oh my god. It's kind of like
Welcome, Jen.
speech speed. You know,
Yep.
you get to the Pacific Northwest and we speak the fastest. Specifically in Oregon, we actually talk faster than most. On the
You know what?
average.
That's a problem. I have a lot of students that's a complaint is I talk too fast. And I'm like, hey, just keep up. You'll be fine.
Dude,
Hello.
Hey, man.
Oh.
Hey, Ken.
podcasting, it's like you need to slow down. I'm like, I'm not gonna slow down. Then it starts sounding unnatural.
Well,
I
if
can't
you
sound
become like,
excited and speak slowly. Like, you gotta choose enthusiasm or clarity, because you can't get both.
There's no brakes on the rape
No.
train.
Exactly. What?
He was like mouth over the microphone
That
saying
was definitely
How deep was that?
chocolate rain.
Not so
That
much
was-
deep, but definitely resonant since my eardrums were bouncing top to bottom.
I believe your diaphragm was like rubbing against the microphone. It was deep in there. Ken, did you get offered a background when you went to load your video?
No.
Apologies to our viewers who already had to endure this. We can set backgrounds.
Oh, that's cool. I'll have to take advantage of that. I like to hide the camera with the background stuff.
I think it's a nitro
Or the
thing.
Is it? I have Nitro
I
for
don't
like another month.
It said powered by Nitro. Apparently, I just renewed. I just got a bill, so
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I get my Patreon bill, my Comixology bill, and my Nitro bill all come at the same time. And I'm like, this is my way of keeping myself entertained.
Namaste.
Well, that was quite the interesting conversation. Went around on various loops. So, if I remember correctly, we had all found ourselves running away from the large dimensional gate worm and pushing ourselves into the Silk Road once again.
Yes.
The strange, shiny-eyed, void, unknown traveler that has been assisting everyone did not come with all. Seems like he's got other means of traveling if he wants to go, but he's not with everyone. But Solteris is still guiding you, and at present there is a certain level of like fatigue and rundown and some other things that have gone on since you were just literally in a fight. But he can make a report back that the Wastelands pathway has been cleared, and there's no real need to worry about whether or not there's going to be more infractions from Zot Zayal. You also have the evidence, which is trapped in Ivar's shoebox. So it may
Yeah, the
behoove
proton
everyone.
pack worked.
Yeah, it may become it may become important to demonstrate that you have the entity to De La Rosa to prove your worth, and also take a short moment to allow everyone to sort of recuperate before taking on the bigger monster, Everthrall.
So, are we just on our path back, or have we already returned to see our gal?
Well, so the Silk Road at these points, these intersections and junctures, they're all relatively safe anyway, because they're, with the guide in place, Salteris leading the way. You don't take roadways that lead you to other realms by accident or any of that other stuff. So he can get you back to her throne chamber anytime you want, and so it would be easy enough to do.
That's our little Fae guy.
Yes, Salteris, the little sprite. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was our plan, is that we were going to go back and kind of recuperate because we were in some pain.
Accurate.
Isn't that one of your personalities?
A couple of them.
Actually, a few of those, yeah.
Actually, all of them, except for Toto.
Yeah, damn.
Isn't that
You can make that happen.
He's going full persona.
It does bother me that I have a mental catalog of your characters' extra personalities. Like, that's taking up space in here.
And that means I win.
Like, I'm watching TV and I'm like, Colt would like that. Damn it. You don't get to live in there for free.
My personalities are living rent-free in that head of yours. Especially Dawnbreaker.
Hell yes.
Ah, friend Scott, this is a good program.
When I say hell yes, this is what is in my head when I say hell yes. It's the dude from Big Daddy.
So, yeah, I mean, we'll speed right along. Solteris is able to guide you all the way back to the throne room. And On the other side, just in front of you, you don't necessarily take the same pathway back. It seems like maybe the Silk Road is a bit shifty. But it takes roughly the same amount of time, which is interesting. So, once you guys get past this other doorway that opens up into that same chamber, you have Sebastian standing there rather patiently, making sure that everyone comes through, that nobody's out of sorts, and taking note of the fact that there seems to be some debris and obvious signs of conflict on all of your persons. You were all near explosions and other issues. So he moves you in. Now, as far as the amount of time that's passed, it's kind of uncertain. So he just looks to all of you as like, success, I hope.
Happen to have enough of any of the crystal with them?
What do you mean? What?
The crystal, the lattice structure that was inside, as stuff was blowing up, we've got debris on us.
Oh,
Does
yeah.
anyone happen to have enough of it that we could, I don't know, do something with it back at HQ? Look at its
There's
unique
fragments.
property. It kind of holding an outsider in place.
So
A little bit.
You've got the largest side's kind of the same size as pea gravel. So,
Okay.
samples are samples, and everybody's got a certain amount of dusting of it, so it's kind of hard to not have.
The cult just looks at his like cut up clothing and just dust all over him and goes, "Yeah, sure."
This is why Barrick doesn't cuff his pants, because he doesn't want any of that stuff to pool in it.
Ivar, just seeing the dust, goes, "This is not right," and he just kind of waves his hands, and he goes back to his normal state of homeless bumbliness.
Nuasis or whatever.
Alright, so. Yeah, but Sebastian inquires as to whether or not you had success. Nobody's answered quite yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sebastian, were you talking to Ivar?
I was talking to all of you.
It's in the
Oh.
box.
What's
in the box? Jinx.
Give me
We
a Coke.
learned some things about what's going on out here, and I believe we were able to capture the creature we were after.
Capture. That's interesting. I think I probably would have been happier with destruction myself.
Well,
it's hard.
Would you like to see Ivar's new gift? I have new pet. His name is Zatzaal. He's now very mentally smoky, but I have him. Would you like to see?
If it is evidence of the outsider you've managed to ensnare, then yes. Any evidence that you can show us would be good.
just a green light on the side of the box.
All of a sudden, I'm not sure how this
box.
works.
I'll swallow your soul. See?
This isn't one of those Beetlejuice things where we shouldn't say its name over and over, right?
But
No.
actually,
No
here's what I'm really
Candyman
curious.
syndrome.
Does Ivar know what happens if he opens the box?
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's trapped in a crystal.
Yes, it's trapped in the crystal, which is trapped in the box, and you can reach inside the box and pull it back out, as long as your whole person never winds up in there, which thankfully you're too obese to have that problem. Then you're fine.
Well, Ivar just pulls it out and just like, look, right here, shoebox.
So you're holding out the weighted 40 millimeter grenade that had come out with the crystal structure on the back end of it. You can see that some of it's taken some damage, but that weighted end allows it to stand upright, so you can see the crystal in and of itself. Now it's flitting off all sorts of sort of electromagnetic force and interference with light that's coming out of it, and it seems rather vibrant. It's rather pretty to look at. It's not quite so monochromatic as the raw green that you guys had been faced with inside of that tunnel. Sebastian gets one look at it, and you can see both eyes kind of flare open, the pupils dilating. And he's like, "Oh, that is quite marvelous. I've never seen a structure like that, ever."
Ivar just closes the shoebox. He goes, I know, I love shoebox. And then mysteriously that shoebox just starts to vanish.
While it's vanishing, you hear a door open, and then escorted Violet enters the room from the left side of the throne. You guys are on that, coming through that same left side wall, but you're just further closer to the main front entrance. And she ends up taking a look at you. Now, she has an escort of what looks to be larger creatures that look like they are straight up fantasy in their orientation. Large lower jaws, greenish-like skin. They're carrying guns, but you can see that they have like the massive bodies. They stand somewhere close to almost 7 foot, and they are highly muscular. And she just looks over at everyone else, then Sebastian. She's like, "The two of you can go," and they leave.
I guess trolls.
She's like, "Orcs, actually."
Nah, I'm gonna add that to the list. Is that with a K or a C?
Was it a book?
It's whatever you want. I don't think they really mind. They don't seem to read
I
or
got
write
the
much.
Captain America book where he's...
She's like, "The Fae are extraordinarily interesting and well diverse. As a matter of fact, a lot of what we had actually seen in earlier texts basically probably just came from some sort of acid trip that he had, not realizing that he'd gone somewhere for real. J.R.R. Tolkien is who I'm meaning. Anyway, I'm hoping to hear good news. You're all here in one piece. Covered in dust, it looks like. Something rather shiny, though. Well,
We have been successful in part. We now have an ally out of one of these outsiders who helped us trap another one who now lives in Shoebox. Would you like to see?
she looks over at Sebastian. He's like, "You should see the shoebox." She's like, "Show me the shoebox."
And the Colt's just going like, "God damn, it's a fucking shoebox again."
just can't feed his ego.
Oh no, we're gonna get better than that.
Ivar's
Let's
like
see
the
here.
happiest puppy at the park.
He's been working on it like out of character for like 6-7 months now.
I really want to know what would be the coolest thing to roll right now for him to bring that box out as if it's like the most amazing thing.
Flourish.
Like, I want a flourishing pull out of the goddamn box.
No flourishing pullouts, please.
Not from my part.
No. Ivar, just in utter respect for the hostess, brings it out and just parts his hands, and as he parts them, the box just is there. And then he opens it up and holds it to her, almost like it's a proposal. He's not on his knees, but he's opening that ring box.
Right.
Like it's got the biggest diamond in it, and he shows it for her eyes only.
Well,
He
she
says, "I
takes
present to you."
She glances in, and she's like, "That crystal's quite extraordinary. Are you saying that whatever it was that was causing me trouble is trapped in that?"
One of
It's
them.
trapped
Hey.
in that.
Construct of absolute chaos trapped in a construct of absolute order. Or order.
Put inside of my shoebox, which will hold it in stasis for all time.
She like leans back. "Well, maybe it's not dead, but I'll take this. In fact, I may perhaps prefer it. Quite extraordinary, gentlemen, lady. I'm impressed. That's one down, one road opened, and, as you say, ally. Who is this ally?"
An outsider
call
who
him-
wanted out.
I call him Bob.
Bob Shiny
I call
Eyes.
him Void.
Well, clearly his name is up for debate. But he
It's,
helped you in
it's
some
a
way,
working
Bob.
theme.
and he assisted in this endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
He is.
Yeah.
He very much would like to make proposition and deal. He does not want to end up like his friends, and would like to just be left alone to enjoy the finer things of our world without causing damage.
She actually gives everyone a kind of a bit of a wry smile, just the curling of the right side of her mouth, and she's just kind of like, "Oh, that's fascinating. Who knew that you were going to
Indeed.
land an entire trade deal all by itself, and a means to secure it? And removing a thorn in my side on top of it. Quite the investment. No wonder Douglas seems to be so invested in all of you.
With much appreciation.
We did do the nasty and the pasty.
You know, infinite monkeys, infinite typewriters.
And
no
Ivar
fat bill.
kind of closes that shoebox as everyone's discussing, and it just gone. But he looks up and goes, "Has there been any word about the other problem while we were away? Any new updates?"
I would say nothing extraordinary. He's still wreaking havoc on the Silk Road from where he decides to poke his head out. My forces have been able to push him back to some degree, using various mystical means to keep his little gateways closed, but I can't keep plugging holes. Eventually the dam will break.
Well, good thing we have a way to seal the dam over and get rid of problem.
If you can take
We
care of
just
him in
need-
this same way, then my roads are open to you for whatever you need. You can even tell Douglas I'll be doing it happy. Content, even.
We are most grateful for your confidence in us.
Well, my confidence
We were
is going to
punching
be
a
well
bit
placed.
above our weight, though.
Hmm.
That was not a walk in the park.
Ivar at this point just looks at Barrack and just kind of gives him this like look of like, really? Not hard? Amateur.
No, I said that we were punching above our weight. We're going to need resources if we're going to take on Avril Thrall.
Because if Avril Thrall is more powerful than, well,
This
Zodi.
felt more lucky.
Zodi and the Boxy.
Well, from what
Yeah.
I can tell, based on reconnaissance reports that I've been getting on a rather regular basis, he has a tendency to be tenacious and restless, always finding new places to breach into the Silk Road or in the safe paths. Obviously, trying to summon up any kind of terror, I suspect. He's been fairly successful, but
Does he have a pattern
ADD?
of potentially setting up a trap? Or is he too random in his motions?
the only pattern I'd be able to really see is that he likes to have an audience, and if that's the case, then, well, you have as good a chance as any if you're wandering around those roadways that are close to the Purgatory.
Colt just kind of looks at everybody and says, well, I mean, if he wants an audience, we could stage a trap.
Yeah.
Give ourselves an advantage, because we have to essentially diminish him before we can even remotely put him in the box. So,
I'm sorry.
Even Las Vegas!
Yeah, I saw that. I'm just going like, I love the... I love dumb Thor, man.
He's dude bro Thor.
Yeah.
He's
I don't
dude
know
bro Thor.
about you guys, but I'm still firing bullets here.
Is that a
Yeah.
problem? You seem to have managed pretty well on your own so far.
It did,
Barely.
yeah. It barely scratched the surface. I went full out. And if it were not for some of the more mystical elements here, the trap barely, contained him. So, if there's any resources that you can offer when we're going after the big one, if you say you've already got forces that are out there pushing it back, even something to keep it distracted with cover fire while we lay something out would be greatly
you have
appreciated.
something. You have something there, Barrack. And as he says he have something there, Barrack, he kind of rolls his hands like this, and then he just channels forces and matter and collects the dust and particles and the granules from everybody, and starts to try to recompose them into the crystalline structure to study. What roll would I have to do for that?
Well, since you're not familiar with the material, but it is present, it's going to put you in an 8.
A
An eight.
D100 bullshit roll.
Yeah, right. So, wow.
Ivar kind of looks over and goes, Colt, do you need a hand?
If you wouldn't mind. So, 70.
D, what am I rolling to support him?
You're going to roll your will, and it's going to be target 8.
Fail 1. Explode 10. So he's just going to try to words.
Recombobulate.
Yep.
Recombobulate. We're going to go with recombobulate.
Pretty good, bro.
Yeah.
Ivar just kind of looks over and he's like, "Here, let me help you, little."
So
And
2
he
degrees
just
of
he just
success.
shoves you a little with 5 degrees of success.
So that's 7 degrees of success. As like he just kind of stumbles, like motherfucker.
Ivar's like, zip. Let me just help you there.
Yeah, right. Although it is kind of sexy to roll 7 Arete now.
Yeah, I bet.
It's like rolling 10 will. It's just guaranteed a good time.
Mm-hmm. Either 10 ones or 10 tens. Oh my god, 10 tens. Like
Dice
you got
Maiden.
10 10s. You'd have to do something, D.
We
Like,
just
that would
get-
have to happen.
Dice Maiden just like lets out a little whimper, and it just. If we can ever figure out how to make it do, like subsequent explosions.
Yeah, to make it explode the explosions. Yeah.
I saw a guy talking about how he was walking around and he saw dice just sitting on his table and he picked it up and rolled it. It rolled a 1. He immediately right after that stubbed his toe and dropped what he was holding. It's like, wow, in real life fail there.
Dear God, a 10 epic fails. 10 ones would just be like,
That's why you
You're
get a
dead.
dice crusher.
your character has an aneurysm and dies.
wait, that's what I'm
Right.
thinking. Like, or he just becomes stone cold sober and he's like, watch out.
Okay, let's see what we got going on here, fellas. We got 5 and 1, 6. Well, that's more than enough. Like, that's way beyond enough. So in this case, you can collect all that material. It will condense itself into a sphere that is just about a third size larger than in a golf ball. That's how much there was.
Mhm.
But it has that same sort of odd green iridescence to it.
And let's do an occult roll.
We can just get the boys at the lab to look at this.
I think I want. Well, he's going to do an occult roll initially, and then he's going to want to have.
It looks like pee. It needs princess now, and then it'll be okay.
It's 17. You think I'd remember these numbers?
Can I eat it?
He don't see shit.
Like, it looks slightly larger than a golf ball.
And he goes, I think I need to have Douglas take a look at this.
Would you like me to take a look at it? Let Ivar see this real
And he
fast.
just, he just
Hand
goes,
it
Why don't we just do this back at the house?
let's do this.
here.
back.
No, just let me see it. Give me 1 moment, please. 1 moment, please.
I don't
Just
like
hold the horses.
don't like him touching.
Excuse me.
And you see like the hesitation on the Colt's like, I really hate him touching stuff.
And all of a sudden you see Ivar with one of those like jeweler's magnifying
Look at the
glass. Just like with a 24 Colt, does Ivar know anything other than it's green?
Just a D20 with Cthulhu faces all over it.
No. So you know about the same amount as you did before, whenever you were first investigating it as the tunnel and the rest. It seems to be a manifestation of chaos, but given a certain solidarity and structure. And so it manifests as this crystalline shape and form, but it's really got properties that are unlike anything you've ever seen before.
Yeah. Colt just kind of pockets it and goes, well, I think I have an idea of a plan, but I want to talk to Douglas about it.
It literally might just require a more academic look. instead of an occult. I mean,
Well, whatever
I am
all of
one.
you decide to do, you can just let me know when you intend to actually go back to the Silk Road, though don't take too much time. I see that you're probably going to need to take a little bit of a moment to recover, but I've got one half of the problem solved, and I'm more than happy to give you a bit of a sabbatical. Feel free to give me a ring as soon as you actually have time to go tackle the other one.
We will go and reassess situation, develop plan, and then we will return lickety split.
yeah, it's on the list.
She kind of
High
leans.
on the list.
Yeah, she kind of like walks over to where Ivor's standing and leans in a bit closer, more close than most people are willing to go. And she's like, "I'll hold you to it, little man."
I like when you call me that. Thank you.
Step on me.
God.
She got heels.
She's like, "Sebastian, we got other things that we need to take care of today, obviously, so why don't we have our guests escorted out and make sure they're taken care of?" And she's like, "Yes, my
Thank you
lady."
for your time. Most grateful.
Thank you for annihilating a problem that was a thorn in my side. I always appreciate when those help can. Bye for now. She goes back to where she's at the throne, and she picks up some kind of data pad and starts kind of tinkering away at it, throwing one of her legs over the other in a very sort of pristine and sort of matron queen type of way. I get strong waves of Marasov, but way more badass.
That's how I've been imagining Violet this whole time.
Yeah. Mara's like righteous. She's just pissed and knows she can handle herself. That's different.
She came pretty close to Ivar. She can definitely handle herself.
Yeah.
She's got nasal dampers like Barrack. Just
More like she knows that she can play that dude since he seems to be a bit of a lovesick puppy. She's seen it before.
let's say you keep critting on that etiquette every time you get around her. So
I know, it's really funny, actually.
So
back to the AV.
yeah. When you get back outside, you have the streetway that seems to be in that sort of calm and quiet control. We'll kind of move this puppy here. Nope, that's
Please don't. We're just going home, dude.
give my whole party
That's
a heart
what you
attack.
think. Traffic.
That's probably perfect for traffic. Here we go. Just need a little. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That's horsepower.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, no, it's not death from above, so you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, so he's escorted you to the street level. Of course, it's still got that same sort of collective, like that collective organization to it that's always there. You got the people taking notice but minding their own business, and it seems like a lot of people who are kind of would normally be at odds with each other are not. But Alex and the AV are very close by to the main entrance as you actually exit. Sebastian bids you farewell, and Alex opens the door as everyone piles in. Of course, the smells of Night City and the rest of it start flooding back in, and you kind of forgot how strangely acrid and over-industrialized the city can be. You've been traveling through natural features and stonework, and then to the wastelands, which seem to have almost no aroma at all.
They're probably very sterile, almost.
Yeah. So, after having been in that for who knows how long, being slammed and accosted with all of that sudden, immersion of scent, it's kind of startling.
Night City Jazz.
Jazz cabbage.
So, I think Riv at least had some. Was it Riv? Who else had the trauma?
Well, wasn't I healed of the
Dravis.
trauma? Like, I was told that I was healed of that trauma last match. Or last,
Oh yeah, you guys helped poor Dravis
Oh,
out.
yeah, you had the
What's
touch
he
of
been doing the
Nirvana.
whole time?
He's been standing quiet, actually, just kind of keeping to himself, not really sure about what's going on. He's not sulking or he's not like shoulders down or any of that. He's just kind of keeping to himself. You can see he's contemplating a lot. But when it comes to Riv, I mean, you still have the aftershocks of all that crazy that went on, but you seem to be kind of like flexible and rubbery now since you've been assaulted mentally multiple times. Yeah.
It's funny. Of all the characters here, I think Riv has had the most like mind fucks.
Mm-hmm.
Colt just kind of looks over at Draves. He just kind of looks at him like this, going, "Now you understand."
And he's just sort of like, believe me, I wasn't clueless. That thing got into my head in a place it shouldn't have been.
Dravis, I've got a program that we could run when we get back. Kind of a therapy AI sort of thing that can help you.
He kind of cocks an eyebrow. I'll think about it.
It's not Firestorm, you don't have to worry, but it's, it helps me make sure all of the pieces are in the right place.
It's funny you mentioned that you guys are taking to the air as the AV's picking up. You got Firestorm who chimes in. It's like, hey, I mind my business. I'm not getting into people's privacy.
Ah, yes, you do. That's why I said it's not Firestorm.
Well, I don't know if you all know exactly how long you've been out of the game, but it's been approximately 86 hours since you guys departed. And I'm sure that the boss is going to be really eager to find out exactly what the hell went on down there.
It was successful. Send the word. Wait, one moment.
Half successful, right?
Doggy.
We still have one more thing to do.
Barrick's just going to be like,
Dougie.
Alex, do you bring food? What did you do while we were in there?
And he's like, oh, I left.
Oh,
I figured I'd get a call once you guys came back, because who knows when you guys are going to come back. It's not the first time. I think probably the worst I've ever had to deal with you people is whenever you got stuck somewhere in North Carolina. He shrugs his shoulders.
Yeah. Thank you for leaving. I mean that sincerely. Thank you, because, yeah, you don't need to. No, yeah, okay.
Yeah, wasn't necessarily what I'd call a sandwich in park.
Now I'm hungry. He's kind of looking around.
So, as we were up there taking flight, the conversations are kind of light. When we land back at the manor, Alex is, allows everyone to disembark. We get back inside. Of course, you have, the gentle on-site nurse and
the gentleman.
Well, no, it's the doctor that you guys see, the southern woman. Mm-hmm. She kind of checks to make sure that everybody's not injured or in trouble. And we all go back to the main war room, which is on second floor of on the west side of the manor there.
Before we do that, Riv goes to her room and peels off her battered suit and gets some regular clothes on.
I'm not exactly sure where we can use this gift, but it's got to come up at some point. I just felt it was the right time. Ivar,
Great movie, by the way.
Oh yeah, Ivar. Since he basically came out of that fight completely unscathed and like totally excited, is like doing skipping would be a good way to explain it.
Enthusiastic limping.
Yeah, as he makes his way to a very private place so he can go look at his new toy.
Well, so Ivar goes back to Chambers, and the rest of you find yourself back at the war room then, with Douglas kind of poring over various data reports and so forth, where he has his series of netrunners still kind of in their own brain-deep pods doing their thing, and a few other ones that are external, using more of the low-tech to try and keep watch at Hunter.net and various other low-tech sites and BBSs that are actually quite highly useful and hard to track. But he turns around and he's like, welcome back. He hands a pad off to somebody that's walking by, and it's, right now it's probably close to based on everyone's estimation, somewhere like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening is what you'd all guess. So,
Dougie, how are you doing this evening?
I think probably slightly better than yourself. You seem a bit scuffed up. But I'm glad that you made it alive.
The shoebox worked. The
Shoebox.
T-shirt
that
cannon
thing that he keeps
worked.
talking about.
Yep, we trapped it in a crystal.
It worked. The prototype was successful.
Like a charm.
And we brought there was I don't know, crystals are the thing now, I guess.
And as he does that, he just kind of reaches in his pocket and says, "Yeah, this is a sample of. I'd like to be able to see if we can weaponize this as a potential trap."
He actually looks at you, sees the orb, you kind of see him cock an eyebrow, and he does this thing where he holds his hand out, and you can see immediately forces grip it in midair and cause it to hover all the way over, but he doesn't let it touch him. And he's just sitting there looking at it going like, this is potentially dangerous.
Well, yeah,
Well,
I figure
yeah.
it's basically the wasteland version of uranium, but it was
Let's hope not. We've all been very severely exposed if that's the case.
yeah.
But he's just
Good
like,
thing you
At
wore
this
your
point-
your lead underpants today, huh?
yeah, he just basically reaches over and touches something. He's like, Steven, I need an isolation cylinder if you don't mind. Thank you. Like that, and waits for a moment. He's like got this thing and it's just sitting there like spinning in midair. And there's kind of like this eerie sense of what it could be or what it couldn't be, or the fact that it's like somehow or another unidentifiable. But the rays of that iridescent green that come off of it are just unnerving. And he's like, this must be part of their natural realm, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was created by an outsider to trap an outsider.
Is that so?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have an outsider ally now.
Yeah,
We
Something
do?
like that.
we call him Bob.
I call him
Bob.
Void.
Wait, slow down. Slow.
Ivar comes popping at this moment. Bob is here? Where is Bob?
No, Bob is not here. Bob.
Oh, okay.
Stop. Wait. An outsider helped you accomplish your mission.
Yeah, kind of
We had
get
a
a
mutual goal.
little
He
bit
actually
of
helped us
insight.
before too, when we were on Hell. Phobos,
According to you.
according to me.
He's like processing that for a minute.
It's been a weird day.
It's been a weird half week.
He's looking at the crystals like, I think I'm in a position at this point to not give a fuck. It was successful. One less outsider to deal with. I'll take it.
Yeah, how freeing that is. Just don't give a
Let
shit.
it go.
Let it go.
Would you like
Let it
to
go.
see Shoebox?
And it's like in the moment, he like waves over this guy who comes into the doorway, and he's got this silvery cylinder, and he pops the lid off. You see him take it, lets the thing just hover down into the inside and seals it. And he was like, "Put that in the vault. We're going to have to use it for examination later." And the guy just nods like, "Thank you, Stephen." He leaves. The shoebox.
And Ivar goes like this and just kind of flicks his hands, and the shoebox goes skidding over the table right to Douglas and opens up just as it spins right in place.
Crystal falls out, shatters.
That's right. Oh, God.
That's why I'll fight round two. Fight round two.
He tends to look at it as like, oh, isn't that marvelous? Look at that.
And it makes sense why they get trapped in that. One of the things that when we were fighting Zatzael, it was as if they're not outsiders at all, but they're just merely constructs of chaos and entropy made manifest into sentient beings. They're not outside of the realm. They're merely a part of it at the most extreme version of it. Like thoughts and ideals made manifest in chaos and entropy.
That's an interesting theory. That would make it seem like they were outside, wouldn't it? But maybe, maybe they just merely represent the other part of the natural order. Everything seems to have its duality, does it not?
It just needs balance, and you throw it off, and poof, Ivar's got a new pet.
Well, they are definitely making one hell of a statement. If they can do something that could jeopardize a certain level of infinity, then yes, we should make sure that we take it very seriously. And we do. And you've been successful. And that is very much
Ivar
trapped.
takes this very seriously.
I noticed. I have a feeling that you're going to have some
Raises
kind
her
of
hand.
glass menagerie after this. He looks over, like, yes.
Did Barrick shut down? He's just sitting there like.
I'm here. I'm just processing.
No, he's running. He's just running Windows updates.
You know, wheel is spinning, gerbil is dead.
But no, he's like, this is good. This is more than good. And you were able to show this to Violet as well.
She was quite pleased.
Good then. That means our access to the Silk Road will be more than likely. We can
No,
use
the
that.
problem is Avril Thrall. He's much more powerful than Zotziel, and Zotziel took us through the ringer. Which is why that little thing... I'd like to see if we can make that into a trap, because Avril Thrall likes to make a show. He likes an audience. So if we can set a trap, much like what Bob the Void, just kind of looks at Riv.
She was like, her mouth was half open when you said that.
Yeah, Bob the Void said that they might be interested in helping us at that time, but if we could hedge our bets a little bit more by employing what they employed, I think that might be in our favor.
Well, if you know what the bait is, then you can always set a trap. What do you want, Ivar?
Or
Ivar has
weaponize
a
it.
question.
What's that?
If that thing that you just put in jar is so dangerous, what would happen if we were to shoot it inside of Outsider?
I don't
Not
know.
putting that shit in
You're
my
asking
guns.
me to identify alien material and tell you exactly what it is based on a glance. I have no idea what it does. We're going to have to study it carefully. I'm actually an expert
Sure.
in all forms of material and properties, but that I've never sensed before.
When
We've
you
been
can
having it
shove
here.
anything in a shotgun shell, but I'm not putting that in my gun.
I wouldn't recommend that
not?
in the first place. We don't know if
Because
that
the
would
gun
actually work.
Is in my arm, and I don't want that to become part of me.
You know, you need to live a little, Barrick. Try random things and
I'm
see where it
trying
takes
to
you.
live.
It enlightens, opens up new things. You should try peyote. Very nice. Good for a good come down.
Yeah,
Sure.
turns out that stuff doesn't have an impact on me anymore.
Turns out.
Remember when you
Would
guys
you
were all
like me-
having drinks? Blood's filtering it all out.
Oh, got dialysis on the on there.
Oh my
These
god,
damn-
you're like Logan.
these
Every
damn
time Wolverine
nanites.
tries to drink.
Which
Yes.
Wolverine.
I've received reports, by the way. Speaking of that, how do you feel? You've been taking your carbon, yes?
Well, it's been 86 hours since we left on our mission. The only damage I took was, he kind of taps in his head, and he goes, and not TBI. So,
You need to work on greater wardings and protection for that.
well,
That might be difficult. If you're talking about the substructure of our reality and them being a part of it, it only gives them an inside job to that. Try to imagine trying to keep your subconscious out of your primary conscious mind. It's basically the same idea. That sort of interconnection can disrupt you even if you don't want it to.
I could delete stuff, but I don't want to. And Dravis doesn't have that option.
He just shrugs his shoulders like, yeah, speaking of trying to delete something, any chance that we have another assignment we could probably look into in the next couple of days? Something a bit more, I don't know, normal.
Right.
Do we have a choice? Don't we have
Not
to take
as
care of the
lethal.
other thing?
Just keep running, push it all out.
Of course, he's looking around at everybody. He's like, what?
At this moment, you have to realize the shoebox has disappeared and Ivar's staring at it. Like, he's just like ignoring you all, just staring at this crystal, talking to himself, and he says out loud, "What if we were to weaponize this crystal and make it something we could use?"
Ivar, maybe
Yes?
you'll need to have drinks because you're looking at the weaponized version right there in the box.
No, I want to keep the powers that are in this crystal and use them.
Of course he does.
When you have
Oh,
found
that's
a
a good one.
means to actually become a cosmic being, let me know, because that's the only way I would know to actually ensnare such forces to make them bend to your will. Meanwhile, we have to rely on what we have. It was a successful prototype test, and we also have material and apparently a new friend on enemy lines. Couldn't possibly have actually wound up much better than that. Lucky us. Of course, we can have some dinner, things made, food, clean clothes, the rest of that, the usual. I suggest you all take care of yourselves, do something that you can. I'll let you know if there's anything indicating Dravis, if there's something that's going to be of note. I suspect that you plan on going back to Violet sometime soon.
Is it me or does it feel like she moved the goalposts on us?
No, she told us right away we had to kill.
It was 2 the whole time? Or
It
was
was.
it or was it test the prototype and give a proof of concept?
She
I
didn't know
feel
about
like
the prototype.
that was the original deal.
For us, we wanted to test the prototype, but Violet wanted us
She
to solve a
wanted
problem
to.
for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We didn't know what the problem was until we got there.
Okay.
Yeah, and the secondary thing is that if your prototype works, she was interested in actually purchasing it because she's a trader in commerce. You know, she's into commerce, so she's happy to find
We're
that your
trying
little
to
prototype
open her
worked.
shipping lanes up for her.
Yes,
Yeah.
and if you guys make it possible to have means to succeed at that, which you did, means that doorways are starting to open again. So she's happy about that.
Ivar looks at Colt and goes, "Colt, do you think I have an idea of maybe there might be a way we could create a shield to protect ourselves from damages brought on by outsiders? But I think I might need a hand with some occult abilities. Do you think you could help me with it?"
I could. It's gonna be tricky, like Douglas says.
Of course, it'll be tricky. That's why we practice it. In a sense, what Ivar is contemplating is very much the Doctor Strange shield. I'm going to make you impervious and try and bring any mystical,
so cool.
magical damage, to near zero.
I love the designs of them too. It's so cool.
Oh yeah. We need access to Silk Road
Or what?
for us to be able to
Basically-
jump around quickly to get outsiders as need be.
And to deal with the Zamisi quickly too.
Oh yeah,
Or
they're another problem we have to deal with.
Or to teleport to get the Holy Grail from church clutches. I mean, it's taking
We just
In-
need her freeway.
freeway to get to places that we normally would have had a greater difficulty getting to if we didn't use her.
She's
Right.
our fast travel.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I like that.
In a sense, that's basically it.
Hey D,
Yeah.
something that you said last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? Anyway, that has been sitting with me. This is outside the game right now, but you had said earlier that health levels and psychological damage don't really jive. Just as another add-on to the game, what if we had a mental health level? I know that sanity is kind of what that is right now, but it'd be kind of cool if you could actually have damage to your mental health that would do things to hinder you. That is, your body doesn't add on to it. Because right now, when I
it's
have
like- It's a mechanic utilized in Dark Heresy.
oh well, that sounds.
You mean
cool.
like psychological pain, basically that you drop mental health levels and you suffer
It's harder to
Penalties.
concentrate. It's harder to do like mental things that require your brain. But if it goes to 0, then you basically like it's like sanity is lost and you are brain dead.
Yeah, the problem with what you guys were dealing with whenever you were, I know what you're talking about when what you're bringing up. So damage was actually taken, so that psychic damage could kill you, right? So the thing about that is like, does it really correlate as something physiological or psychological? Strictly, if it's psychological damage, like your sanity slipping, things like that, you can suffer pain that doesn't actually exist in the body, and it won't necessarily kill you. You know, it driving you to do something stupid like suicide, that could technically be a cause of psychological damage, killing you technically. But you know, the difference was that this was psychic damage, meaning the source was something psychic causing physical harm, using insanity as its baseline. But that's what I was
guess-
trying to get across. But I know what
Yeah,
you're
okay.
saying. I know what you're saying, and what you made me think of when you asked the question was, what if we had a certain number of strikes, basically, before you go completely tits up mad? Meaning that you fail a sanity check, you basically get this little like check in the middle of it, suffering whatever you get from out of that little table there, and going crazy for a while. If you don't have a recovery point, you could go and insane again and get another tick. And if you keep doing that like up to 3 or 4 times, you could end up being completely bonkers and like completely, you know, lacking all salience of anything normal.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
guess the
I
other
feel like
part of
so many X.
Go ahead.
Going after you, Ken.
I was just gonna say is that I think that the thing that is stemming from this also is the fact that your body stat dictates how many health levels you have, and even psychic damage. Like you yourself said, it was kind of incongruous that my character puts on a suit that gives her 5+ body, and suddenly the psychic damage didn't mean much because, you know, her
Right. No,
she had
we established that you took damage to your body, but the +5 to your body doesn't add to the health levels. I have to change it because it's automatically shifting. You basically have to just record adds 5 to body and then have a little notation to the suit, but it's not going to boost your health levels. You're physiologically the same. All you're getting is a boost from the exosuit.
Okay, so that's so basically there's math that's doing things for me that shouldn't be.
Right. Because the sheet is automatically happening. If you change your body that way, then it will just boost everything up as if you're, you know, because that's not the truth. What's happening is you have an exosuit on that's just giving you extra strength, but it's tied into the body stat because strength is part of it. But in this case, you can just say strength increased, meaning that you treat it as this under certain circumstances. Like if you're using strength, you know, body checks to determine strength-related feats, then you add
That's when I
that
add
extra.
the 5.
Right, but you're not applying it to your body in the sense that your body's not actually increasing. It's fictitious. Fictitious in the sense that, you know, it's something that we could put on and taken away. If it was cybernetic, on the other hand, that is different. Because that's full body work. Whenever they enhance your body with cybernetics and your body goes up, then your health levels go up as a result.
You know, your little table there, Scott, and Drew, I want to make sure you can talk. Your little table there, there should be other checks besides will.
Oh yeah, I just threw that.
Yeah.
That's the
did it in
budding
the first
start.
one. I went copy.
Gotcha. What were you going to say, Drew?
I was gonna say, it would seem to me, if you were to add this idea of strikes for mental instability, or in any things where you're taking negative things, I would argue that there comes a point where if you got enough strikes,
You're out.
you almost take on it. You have to take on a disadvantage.
So each
that'd be kinda cool.
insanity is
It's
technically a
cursory.
disadvantage. So if you go insane, you basically get like a minor disadvantage. If you go insane again, you get like another minor disadvantage. They accumulate. So you could wind up with
they
like
stack.
Yeah, they stack up because, you know, I don't know anybody who's psychologically damaged in multiple areas that doesn't have multiple issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, so you guys are gonna go investigate. What was it again? It looks like Colt and Ivar were gonna go off and do their own study.
We're gonna work on developing mental armor similar to what was composed in the What If stuff, like Doctor Strange, just like.
Where it's there and not there.
So in other words, you know, utilizing spirit and life and prime
Full armor.
to bolster mental armor and to
Makes
experiment
sense.
with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go eat some charcoal and run through my therapy Duolingo AI thing.
All right.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty comfortable with the idea of seeing my dead wife coming back. So getting a little faster. I moved up to level 3. You know,
So everybody's
Is
going
that
to take
what
some.
happened to you?
Yeah, he wasn't saying that in character. Boink.
definitely not saying that in character.
Dravis will actually eventually take you up on the, going brain deep in therapy for a minute to kind of get himself settled out. Night City kind of passes along sort of quietly, actually. For the next 2 to 3 days, everyone's allowed to recover, get back into normal. Studies seem to be going okay. If you want to roll occult checks, Ivar and Colt, based on what you're going to try and find out to construct, or in this case, I'm almost going to have to think about the idea of mystical engineering or some shit, because you guys keep using it in that particular sense.
$23 Ivar, 21 Colt.
Yep, I see it. Okay, so whenever it comes into play, you guys have got a sort of working theory as to how you might be able to construct something along the lines of psionic dampers, where you can sort of prevent the mystical psychic onslaught that seems to come from these creatures. Of course, you'll need to have it tested, which will be easier said than done. It's more of a go out in the field, hope you don't die, that kind of thing. But you have a working start model for it.
Would this be something that Ivar would do with his reality shift, or is it an actual device that we're kind of a mystical device?
Well, it's composite-wise, anything that takes is a permanent effect, you will have to have it imbued. It'll have to be something of a permanent object. So it can't be left to dematerialize after being left out of range, as an example, or it's going to have certain specific properties that mix together. As funny enough, when it comes down to it, the crystalline elements of everything you guys have been working with, because crystals themselves are one part structure, another part sort of from the occult standpoint, they're sort of semi-conscious. It's hard to say, but crystals themselves, they have odd properties standard, just in general. The fact that they grow, the fact that they're obviously in ordered structured alignments with molecules and so on. There's just a lot that crystals offer. But if you're going to embed something, you don't have to go crazy. You can take a crystalline chip and put that into a smaller object that's more well protected and have the device do the same thing. More or less, you're looking to make charms, because that way it removes the necessity to have to constantly concentrate to enable it.
Well, what I'm actually curious, and if it would make sense, and I might do this as a tactics roll, is if Ivar, since we're still testing the prototype before we start charming it, Ivar actually tries to just summon it through reality shift once in combat or in some lesser situation before he makes the charm. I'm not wasting my time on this. Let's see if we can do this, bad boy. Oh, jeez. That's a critical fail for Ivar trying to...
Well,
yeah. In this case...
Welcome to the Darksiders campaign.
Oh, God. Man, talk about high octane. Right, so... right now, you can't seem to manifest it, just on a whim. It's going to take more practice.
Okay.
It's a very complicated charm, and needless to say, it's going to take some kind of micro inscriptions and some other things along those lines, even if possible, to create mold and generate. Even synthetic crystals will do the trick. You could even generate, synthetic crystalline forms and structures that allow you to, more or less create the form with the arcane inscriptions in it. instead of just waiting for natural crystals to form on themselves.
So Ivar,
Got
this
it.
is where we get to leverage Douglas's resources.
Yeah.
Yes, I think this is very much good use.
Well,
Because when I walked into a room with you guys, Barrick did not look okay. I mean, look at him right now. He's holding up this hedgehog. I don't know what he's doing.
Crystal
Is it like a
hedgehogs,
chia pet?
fun to grow.
oh man.
It's a crystal chia pet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Riv in the meantime, so we've got them doing their study hall, Dravis in therapy. We've got Barrick probably working towards his usual stuff, which is usually like Hunter.net research, etc. Practicing with his weapon. What are you up to?
You know, I think that she's seen some shit, and she needs to meditate. Um, and try. She's, as you guys know, she's very impulsive, and that's one of her disadvantages. So she's trying to. I guess she's trying to work on that. She's trying to make sure that she can be mindful. And one of her big overarching goals at some point in the future is to be able to communicate with the gauntlet to hopefully control it a little bit better.
Yep.
So it's.
I would like to say that, finish your thought, Ken, but I had something I wanted to say about your character and her impulsiveness.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I just want to make sure that she's going to be sitting under the proverbial waterfall in a meditation pose, just trying to see if she can be still, and internally sort through the bullshit that she's been going through, because she's had her mind kind of rended a few times.
Just a few.
Yeah.
Just like to say that Riv has done many of an impulsive thing over this course of this campaign that have just been truly epic, including the sliding on the car door as she was firing and taking people out.
I think it was on her shield that she was sliding, wasn't she?
It was a shield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the one where you took off and took on people all by yourself and then realized you were behind enemy lines.
Yeah, it was one of those times where I had the health regen, and Dayton was like, "Jesus Christ, that was exactly what you needed," because I got slapped to the side, basically.
Like every single time you've ever been in a situation, it's like the rando rolls just play to your favor every time.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's an internal reflection, is because even though she was healed by the touch of Nirvana, she still would like to. I wonder. Let's see. How much IP would it cost to upgrade my will? Is it just 10 times
It's
10?
considered a stat, so.
So it's times 10. Whether stat is times 10.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, yeah. Would this be a good in roll to upgrade my will from what it is up one?
What's your roll now?
My will is 7.
Okay, yeah. You spend 70 points. Yeah, you can bounce that in whenever you want.
Wait. Oh, will is a calculated stat, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is. You gotta up your intelligence and your empathy.
Yeah, intelligence, empathy have to go up.
Crap.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my empathy is going up by 1 then.
All right.
What's your odd?
It's my intelligence is 7, my empathy is 7. So
Okay.
so I'm gonna have to make it go to 8. I have to spend 140 points to get my intelligence up by 1 and my empathy up by 1. In this case, her meditation is going to push her up by her empathy up. So that makes sense, though. She's internalizing bullshit. She can read people a little bit better.
She's reflecting on her life decisions and coming to the realization that she's an older Riv now. She can't be as impulsive as she was in her younger days.
Oh, man.
I have 8 IP left.
So Barrick actually, if there is an opportunity, would like to do some work with that crystal that they were able to recover and reconstitute.
Yep.
Because he actually went to college and studied in the the lab with the FBI and all of those things Plus, he's got the ability to create all sorts of weird sounds and frequencies and, see in all these different colors and flavors and all that stuff. So
What are
he,
flavors?
if Dougie's okay with it, if there's a senior scientist person that Barrick can, work with.
Yeah, he's got multiple lab techs and researchers that are downstairs in his basement. They live inside the manor as well, but we could even go back and see the original laboratory where you brought in the converted creature, which has now been set up in its own stasis tube, and still is under examination.
Yeah. So yeah, Barrick is, not going to presume to be an expert in any means, but he's having the firsthand experience with how things resonated in there, and he's not thinking necessarily we can get this to vibrate at a certain frequency and get a tone or anything like that, but he's got that experience, and I figure between education and tech and these other elements that maybe he could try and fuck around and find out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely could.
Test your hypothesis and record your observations.
Yes, all that scientific stuff. All right. So, if you would like, you can roll on the relevant skills that you would try to use to kind of gain a better understanding of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, so he's going to roll his education.
Okay. Nice.
So, 21 there.
Yes, indeed. Well, I mean, you start pushing some things through. Now, over this time, you manage to kind of get these updates in, like, in successive order and as they occur, which is kind of nice. You're working with someone who goes by Adrian. He's like a mulatto-skinned kind of individual who's got, yeah. But he's kind of a mulatto-skinned kind of an individual. He's got, he wears the lab coat, the whole 9 yards. He's even got the, the nice spectacles and that kind of thing. But he's definitely a hardcore researcher. But, what he's finding out is that, with you and him working together, not that he's, because you've been exposed to it in the field, he starts being able to get real information from you about how it responds, what it responds to, what it was like, how it became manifest, all these things. Like, so he can get these answers to questions he doesn't have because he was never out there in the field, and you can upload that footage and do all kinds of stuff.
I was gonna say Barrick's got the data from the live field test.
Yeah.
Of when we did this attack, it resonated this way. When Ivar did this, like, this is what I was hearing, this is what I was feeling, all of those elements.
Yeah. So it works out pretty well, and as it turns out, this stuff is highly, highly responsive to sound and light specifically.
One of the things that I specifically wanted to try was, like, literally just shining light through it and seeing the way it's faceted. How does it, project, display? Is it prismatic? Is it, do the colors change or the properties of the light change as he shines through, and all those things, and looking at it through my whole visual spectrum to see if I notice anything changing. So I don't know what other skill I would roll, like a tech, basic tech, advanced tech, any of those.
Advanced tech wouldn't hurt.
Okay. Not on that one.
Well, regardless, there is quite a lot that you've been able to glean because of all this. So like I said, it does respond to sound and light. It warps light, that's for sure. It seems to almost consume it in a sense. It basically consumes it and then causes it to be reconstructed, and then you suspect that what's happening is that the light is being absorbed and then redirected, redefined, and being expelled, almost like you would, like heat from fire. It's basically a waste product, maybe. That's kind of an assumption. And then sound seems to go in there, become trapped, and then reverb, and become warped in all sorts of ways. But the most key quality component that they have found is that the sound doesn't register on anything that is through vibration. The sound is entirely psychic. So any sound that comes from the object, which you bombard it with an actual physical sound wave, it bounces
Right.
back
Got
a psychic
tuning forks and tight beams and
right, all of that.
everything.
It basically reverberates back with a psychic sound wave. Because
Oh, so the instruments aren't picking anything up,
right,
auditory,
right.
but we're hearing it.
Yep, even through walls.
Well, it's kind of fun.
What is the range?
Well, this object seems to produce it.
Someone
at
getting
roughly,
tinnitus up on the 4th floor, like they're just like, what is that?
Everybody keeps bashing it. Some guy's just going, ah!
The dog outside is just flipping out.
The range seems to be anywhere between 8 and 10 feet with this object.
All right. And Beric's gonna say, Adrian, thanks for humoring me. I figured let the magic guys do their occult stuff, but sometimes there's just physical science.
Well, he's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. I completely agree.
I wonder what the nerd would think about this one.
Well, that would
Damn
be me, and I can tell you right now, it's quite fascinating.
I mean, Colt has a... Yeah. Thank you. And Beric's gonna, leave him and go relay kind of what he observed, what he saw to Colt. Is this anything that your nerd would be able to look at, or is that more computer? I don't know how it works for you. Do you have a geologist in there? Is your nerd like collectible card games? I mean,
you're not wrong. Yeah, let's have Nerd take a look at it.
Nerd.
and so light's reacting weird. It's almost consuming it and transforming it. And we know that energy's not supposed to be lost or gained. But the sound is changing from audible to psychic. That's outside my 3 degrees or 3 years of JC. So
Yeah, Nerd could look at it, but Nerd would have to link with it. And
I don't think
frankly,
that would be good.
No. Yeah, let me check.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna tell him that.
I don't.
No, that's not nice. No, the answer's no.
Yeah. I'm imagining like a fortress of solitude in your train station. We don't need to do that.
Just do a 22 occult roll based off of what Beric described.
What was the specific question that you were trying to answer with that? Because I've lost it.
Basically, what's Colt's assessment of
It's
the
transmuting
information?
sound and it's transmuting light into, different forms of energy.
Well, having something go from physical to psychic is pretty impressive. It means that you're looking at some kind of warp that's happening around it. It's clearly warping the physical reality in a very subtle way. Because light's obviously changing, that's one thing, and then sound's changing, but there doesn't seem to be any kind of outbound radiation. So nobody's being completely eradicated and melting and all that other stuff, although it seems like it could easily do that if necessary. However, it has to be operating with some kind of property that just enables it to convert. Because it's going from physical to more or less non-physical. You can't really pin down a thought. That's not something that's normal. So having it basically respond with a physical sound that seems to echo similar to its original, but only in your head, kind of means that you're looking at something intelligent, but also at the same time not awake. So kind of a bit both. It's a little nerve-wracking when you start thinking about it in those terms.
Technology right there.
Yeah.
The occultist kind of pauses for a second and goes, "Oh. Well, that would make sense. So, essentially, to query, it's somewhat sentient.
Ah, shit.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Ivar just closes the lid to the shoebox. And he's like, been sitting there the whole time. And he's like, this sounds like, and with a roll of 26, to me it sounds like this is almost how, in certain degrees, how reality shift works. That it transmutes things into other things. Is this along the lines, D? Does
It's not
Ivar's theory hold water?
It doesn't seem like a far leap, especially with the occult roll like that. I mean, there are definite similarities.
I mean,
Yeah,
you can
Ivar just-
translate electronic signals into sound. You know, grooves in a piece of vinyl can make sound. But this is going the other way.
Or maybe
Yeah,
we take the principle that's happening within the crystal and use it to the idea that we're working on, and instead of taking sound into psychic sound, we take psychic implementation and convert it into sound.
Oh, so a psychic attack happens and instead it just sounds like yelling?
Yes.
I mean...
Well, we don't know if this thing is one way or not. Like, my reality shift only works certain directions. It has limits.
Well,
This
if we study
device
the
must have
crystal,
limits too.
then maybe we have an understanding of what we're trying to work on.
Reverse
Perhaps we take
polarity.
this to Riv. Riv has worked with
Suddenly Joy
weird
LaForge in
mystical
background.
items and has knowledge on this. Perhaps she would have some insight. Where is she, by the way?
Artball.
Using the danger room for a little peace and quiet.
We all walk in. She's just there, zen like, what are you doing?
Exactly what she's doing, actually.
Well, let's see here. It is the top of the hour here, gentlemen.
Sure is.
I'm gonna bow out. I'm exhausted. This was a delight this evening. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Let's see here.
Eric's gonna get a sonic screwdriver so that he can just...
No. This chapter was called Nano Ammo.
Always got something up your sleeve to make that just kind of correlate.
How's Sean liking the server?
I think he's liking it just fine. Seems like he was telling me the other day that he was very interested in finding ways to help wherever he could. And I just told him it wasn't obligatory, just that we were happy to have him. But yeah, the guy's a workhorse, pretty much like the rest of you. It's so funny. I don't really fit into that category. I'm kind of like, I don't want to work, like, ever. I just want to I want ideas, like.
You're the creative.
Yeah. I'm just sort of like, I'll put these things out here, but I don't want to have to sit down and do stuff. It kind of feels like that from time to time.
Someone's got to play drums, someone's got to play bass, someone's got to play guitar, someone's got to write the music.
Mm-hmm.
Can't have a 5-man band if we're all doing the same thing.
Basically.
Well, that was a good session. I appreciate it.
Like
Yeah.
to have the less, heart, heart stoppers.
Yeah, well,
Like
except
when
for
he
at the
throws the music.
whenever I like accidentally bump. Everybody's like, ah!
The AV.
It's like doing brake
Isn't
checks
it?
on your heart.
Yeah,
Right?
really.
Like I'm waiting to hear that in the wild somehow. Like I'll be like walking down the street or something and someone's ringtone will go off and I'll just start rolling initiative.
Helicopters.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, gents, good to see you, but I'm going to head off for the evening.
Yep. Good night, all.
Night.
Fare thee well till next Thursday.
More interviews tomorrow.
Good luck on
Good
those.
luck.